Welcome to Uncle's channel. Thanks for watching today, and let's continue our journey to finish every single Game Boy Color game. Today, focus on a game called Baseball for the original Game Boy. Now, this was a launch title for the system back in 1989. There were only like 4 launch titles in Japan, and I'm thinking there were 6 in the United States of America. I could be wrong on that, but being a launch title for the Game Boy, this is definitely the most basic baseball game that I've played thus far in the challenge, and it's even more basic than most like 1989 games because it's actually a port of the 1983 NES baseball game, and so I really do feel like this game was outdated even for the time of 1989. But that being said, there are some benefits about the game, and there's one really awesome fact about the game that I truly did enjoy, but we'll get into that all as we journey through the review here. Now, this particular game did get moved up in the queue a good bit because Hot Wheels 555 requested one of my earlier videos, so naturally moves up in the queue. If there's a game that you want to see me cover sooner or later, let me know the name of the game in the comments down below, and just like baseball, I'll move it right on up. Now, I'd like to start the videos up by looking at the box art for the game first, and the box art for baseball is very simple, but it's a enjoyable cover. And right there in the center, we have Mario on the pitcher's mound, and this is very deceitful because Mario is nowhere to be found in this game, like at all. His name is in the game, and Luigi's name is in the game, but the character sprite of Mario, non-existent in the game itself. And so a fairly deceitful cover. I mean, like Alleyway also had Mario on it, but Mario actually appears in the game, and there's some like Mario, I don't know, images and Mario things throughout that game. But this is just simply using the image of Mario to sell a game that has nothing to do with Mario pretty much at all. It does have the other players around the bases here. Also says bases are loaded and you're at bat. Hardball action for 1 or 2 players, and it is a 2-player game, and so that's better than some of the other baseball games on the Game Boy. But still, I don't feel like it's going to live up to being a great baseball game for the system. But let's go ahead and dive into the actual game. Now, when you load up here, baseball is spelled with 2 baseball bats at the end for the 2 L's, which is sort of clever. I've never seen baseball spelled that way. I mean, we're really searching for some good things about the game here. There is no title screen music behind here, which is a missed opportunity because like some of these older games had really great 8-bit chiptune title screen music, and this one's got pretty much nothing. You can choose 1 player, 2 players, 2 players with a link cable. We're going to do 1 player in order to finish the game here, and you do get to choose between USA mode and Japan mode, and there's actually like almost no difference in the 2 games at all, except the names in the US mode is going to be like Mario, Luigi, and some stereotypical American names, and Japan mode is not going to have Mario and Luigi and just simply going to have some Japanese names. But if you actually play the Japanese mode, you're going to find out like the music in the Japanese mode is top tier, and I mean like truly top tier song, and like it's only in the Japanese mode. So if you play the USA mode, you were going to get like a pretty lame sounding baseball song in the background, but the Japanese mode, top tier song for the original Game Boy. And it's a shame that they just simply didn't put that in the USA mode because there's probably a lot of US players out there that never even got to hear the best song that this game had to offer. But first time going through it, I am going to choose USA mode. You get to choose 2 teams. You can be the Bears or the Eagles. I debated back and forth on this probably longer than I should have because, I like Eagles. They're cool, predatory bird. But, Bears are ferocious in the environment. So, I mean, who to choose here? I chose the Bears ultimately because, they're sort of fluffy and they have the ability to be cute at least. Choose your pitcher. You can choose Mario, Paul, Eric, or Jimmy. And, who's not going to choose Mario if you load it up here, even though Mario is not going to really appear inside the game. So I do choose Mario, and you do get the choice of one of the bat first or pitch first. I choose the bat first, and the batting here is pretty much like any other baseball game. Your character's at the front here. You can move him left, right, up, down to adjust exactly how you want to swing your bat here. And there's really not a whole lot of variety. You press A, you swing and hit the ball, and it's going to go flying into the outfield. You can change your batter if you want here, but I really couldn't figure out like a lot of great skill when it came to actually batting with my characters. Now, when the ball does go into the outfield, your player automatically runs to first base, and that's fine. That's like most baseball games at the time. However, once you make your second hit and your player begins to run to the first base, your player does not automatically run from first base to second base. I would say like 50% of the time. Like you have to press buttons on the controllers, and I never really could figure out like which buttons to press in order to get my players to move from one base to the other. And so like every time you actually hit the ball, it goes flying to the outfield, you have to be on your toes here, pressing buttons on the gamepad in order to get your players to move from one base to the other. And I understand that there could be some strategy involved in that, but for the most part, it just became a nuisance of my players getting stuck on one base and 2 players on one base. And I don't know, I did not care for this particular mechanic, and I never really could figure out extensively well how to get my players to move from one base to the other effectively. Honestly, my best advice here is just simply once you hit the ball, just simply start pressing the D-pad on every single base and the A button, and you have the best chance of getting your players to move. And that's what I started doing on pretty much every single hit. And I guess because I was slow on figuring this out, I did not score a single point in the first inning. I got 3 outs, and now it's going to swap over here, and I'm going to be pitching for the first time in the game. Now, when you pitch, it's very similar to like most other baseball games. You can move left to right on the pitching mound. You can swap your pitcher out if you want to. And at this point, you can, throw the ball, and you can aim it with the D-pad a little bit here. And once they hit the ball, it goes into the outfield. And it's actually fairly hard to control like your characters in the outfield because it's like they all control at the same time. And so like you have 4 players in the outfield, you press up, all 4 players are going to go up to the left, to the right, whichever direction that you're going. And it's fairly difficult in order to figure out like exactly how you want to move your characters. I prefer the baseball games that like assign you an individual player and you can simply swap between player to player in order to know who you're controlling to run after the ball. But this one just simply has all the players running at the same time in whichever direction. And I can't really say I'm a big fan of that, but you do get used to it as the game progresses. But now we've seen the infield and the outfield fairly extensively here. Let's talk about the graphics in the game, because for an '89 Game Boy game, the graphics are, I think, pretty good here. And so when you're batting, you have a pretty good sprite for the batter. You have a pretty good sprite for the pitcher, even though he looks nothing like Mario, and Mario is supposed to be your pitcher here. And, they got little facts off to the side about the speed of the ball, has little facts off to the side about, out strikes such as that. All that looks really good on the screen. The outfield, very simple here. You got your players running back and forth. I will say it's not as good of graphics as some of the other baseball games, but at the same time, I actually prefer the simplistic style because you can tell what's going on in the game just a little bit better. And the crowd over here, it's not anime like some of the other games, but it doesn't look like a blurry mess, and so I actually prefer the crowd animations as well. The graphics are very simple, but I actually enjoy it over some of the other baseball games that I've played. But they do score 2 points in their batting inning, and then we swap places again. So now I am batting, and I don't really do a whole lot better in the second inning. I don't score any points. I get there 3 outs fairly fast. We swap places again. I'm now on the pitching mound, and I don't really do very good here either. They get 3 more points. Now it's 5-0, and I am doing really terrible at the game. But I am getting the hang of it little by little, and the tides are going to begin to turn a little bit as we journey through the innings. And so I go back to batting for the 3rd inning here, and in this part I actually score a couple points. Get the bases, little characters on the bases. Finally get a couple points, and I get my only home run in the game in this particular inning as well. I can't tell if there's any rhyme or reason to get the home run, but I actually got a home run. Bases weren't loaded or anything like that, so it's not like a super home run, but still. Finally got a home run in the game, and so I end the score up here at 5-3, and I'm slowly beginning to catch up. And then it's my turn to pitch. I do get 3 outs pretty darn fast. Then I go back to batting. I get 2 more points here. I'm going through them pretty quick here because there's not a whole lot of, difference in all the innings. Then when I go back to pitching for the 4th inning, I actually get 2 outs in 1 single play, which I was pretty proud of myself here. I didn't really understand the controls when I started the game, and now I'm getting 2 outs in 1 single play. I think I'm doing pretty good. And then in innings 5, 6, and 7, nothing like major really happens. They do actually get a home run on me, so each team got 1 home run for the game. And so evidently home runs are fairly rare here. But then when inning 8 rolls around, there's something like happens to their teams. Like they get super good in inning 8. Either that or I just lost all my skill on how to play. Because going into inning 8, I was up by 5-6 points, and they actually scored enough to get all the way up to 1 point below me, so the score is 13-14, and I actually thought I might actually lose the game here, because when I go into the 9th inning, I bat first, I don't score a single point, so all I have to do is get 1 point in order to tie the game, 2 points to win it, but in the 9th inning, I get 2 outs pretty much immediately, and it's not very long after that, I'm able to score the 3rd out, and they do not get a single point in the final inning, and I actually win the baseball game, but I have to say, it was a pretty much neck and neck, and I was fairly worried about it. Now, when you do win the game, it breaks down some very basic statistics. It basically says I got 30 hits here, 1 home run, 6 strikeouts, and then does tell the score of 14-13. It has a cool little scene in the background of my players, all in the little player huddle here, throwing the, pitcher up in the air, maybe the main batter, or my player up in the air is like a little victory celebration. He sort of rotates every time he goes up in the air. And that's pretty much the entire game. There's not a ton of variety to it. I don't feel like the game is really in depth. Maybe there's some options that I missed in there as far as player stats or differences in the players, but I really didn't see a whole lot of that. I was a little disappointed by the amount of Mario that was in the game since he was on the cover, and he was on the cover of Alleyway, which was a launch title game, and there's a lot of Mario integration in that game, and this one had pretty much no Mario integration except for his name. But as far as a baseball game on the system, I have to rank it as probably the worst one that I've played thus far, and it's just simply very basic. And so I think like people who are like really hardcore baseball fans probably won't enjoy this game a lot because it doesn't have their main teams they want to play as, their main players. The statistics are not displayed. There's pretty much no in-depth stuff to pull a hardcore baseball player in, but it's also not fun enough for a casual player to just simply want to pick it up and play it because there's no like Mario charm or no like, Nintendo sports charm, I guess you could call it. It's just a very, very basic baseball game. And so I feel like on the system, like of all the baseball games out there, this would be the last one to pick up, even though it's the only one they've chosen to put on the Nintendo Switch Online. So if you have the Nintendo Switch Online service, it's the only baseball Game Boy game you have access to, and it is definitely the worst one I've played thus far. I'd probably give it a score of 3 out of 10. You can probably beat the game in maybe like, I think it's like 45 minutes. Probably not even that long to finish the game up here. But if you just simply want to skip through all of this and get to the best part of the game, load it up, go to the Japanese mode, listen to the soundtrack, and you've got the best thing that this game has to offer. One single fantastic song. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Check my other videos listed up above, and go out there, find a great game to play. Simply have a great rest of the day.